You live in the age of the audience. Every meal is a potential photograph. Every thought is a potential post. Every moment of struggle is a potential story of overcoming. You have been taught, subtly and relentlessly, that an experience is not real until it has been witnessed, that a victory is not valid until it has been applauded. You have been handed a new invisible currency. It is called validation. You are told that the praise of the crowd is a sign of your worth, that the number of likes, the encouraging comments, the recognition from your peers, this is the measure of a life well lived. And so, you perform. You broadcast your workouts. You narrate your healing. You display your achievements. You live your life as if it were a movie, with the entire world as your audience. And you have never felt more empty. This constant, desperate need for an audience is the most sophisticated prison ever designed. It has turned your life from a private, sacred act of creation into a public performance. You are no longer the architect of your own soul. You are an actor, playing a role for a crowd that is bored, distracted, and will forget you the moment you leave the stage. The ancient Stoics, the original masters of the inner world, knew a truth that our hypervisible society has buried. They knew that the work that matters most, the work that builds real, unbreakable character, is almost always the work that is done in silence, the work that is done when no one is watching, the unseen work. Today, we are going to turn off the spotlights. We will silence the applause. We will expose the profound, liberating power of building a life that does not require a single witness to be magnificent. Look at your own life, not as a performance, but as a structure. For years, you have been building your house with the windows facing outward, desperately hoping the neighbors will admire your work. You chose the color of your walls based on what you thought would be popular. You arranged your furniture not for your own comfort, but for the approval of guests. And now you are sitting in a beautiful house that does not feel like a home. It feels like a stage, and you are tired of the performance. Think of the project you abandoned because it didn't get enough praise early on. Think of the good habit you dropped because no one noticed your effort. Think of the times you felt a quiet, simple joy and then felt it instantly evaporate because you couldn't capture it and post it for others to see. You have been trained to believe that the applause is the prize. But the applause is just noise. The prize is the work itself. The problem is not your desire to be valued. The problem is that you have been looking for that value in the wrong place. You have been seeking it in the fleeting, unreliable opinions of the crowd. The Stoics knew that true value, true self-worth, cannot be given to you from the outside. It can only be forged by you, on the inside, in the silent, lonely forge of your own disciplined action. The unseen work. This addiction to external validation is a psychological disease. It is an outsourcing of your own judgment. To cure it, we must first understand its architecture. It is built upon three great flawed pillars. They are the lies that keep you performing and keep you from becoming. We will now tear them down. The first pillar is the lie that recognition is the same as respect. You believe that if people see your effort, if they praise your success, they will respect you. This is a fundamental confusion of terms. Recognition is cheap. It is the hollow applause of an audience that is entertained for a moment. It is a fleeting transaction. Respect is something else entirely. Respect is not given to the performer. Respect is given to the craftsman. The performer needs the audience. Their energy, their confidence, their very sense of self is dependent on the crowd's reaction. The craftsman, however, is different. The craftsman is in love with the work itself, the quality of the material, the precision of the cut, the integrity of the structure. He would do the work with the same obsessive focus and commitment, whether he was in a crowded amphitheater or on a deserted island. His standard is not the applause of the crowd. His standard is the ruthless, uncompromising voice of his own inner master. When you live for recognition, you become a slave to the trends. You change your work. You soften your message. You sand down your rough edges to please the ever-changing tastes of the audience. You become a reflection of what you think the world wants to see. And in the process, you lose the very thing that could have made you worthy of respect, your own unique, uncompromised vision. The person who earns true respect is the one who is so deeply committed to their own standard of excellence that the opinion of the crowd becomes a secondary, almost irrelevant piece of data. They are not trying to be liked. They are trying to be good. They are not trying to be popular. They are trying to be true. This kind of integrity, this quiet, obsessive dedication to the work itself, is what creates real, lasting gravity. People may not always like the craftsman, but they will always, on some deep level, respect them, because they can sense that the craftsman is anchored to something more solid than their fleeting approval. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. The second pillar of this prison is the lie that sharing your struggle is the same as solving it. Our culture has fetishized the performance of healing. You are encouraged to narrate your every wound, to broadcast your every moment of doubt under the banner of authenticity and vulnerability. You believe that by talking about your work, you are doing the work. This is a dangerous illusion. Talking about going to the gym is not the same as lifting the weights. Posting a picture of a salad is not the same as eating healthily. Narrating your struggle is not the same as enduring it, learning from it, and integrating its lessons in silence. More often than not, the performance of struggle becomes a substitute for the actual struggle. It becomes a way to get the reward, sympathy, attention, validation, without having to do the hard, lonely work. You get the applause for being so brave and open, and this temporary hit of validation can trick your brain into thinking the problem is solved. But the problem is not solved. The wound is still there. You have just covered it with the cheap bandage of public sympathy. The Stoics had a radically different approach to hardship. For them, a challenge was not a story to be told. It was a whetstone on which to sharpen their own character. It was a private matter between them and the universe. The goal was not to be seen as someone who was overcoming adversity. The goal was to become someone who had overcome adversity. The proof was not in the story. The proof was in the man. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Marcus Aurelius. Notice the image. The cliff does not complain about the waves. It does not post on social media about how hard the stone is. It does not need the other cliffs to validate its struggle. It simply stands. It endures. It does its work in silence. And in that silent endurance, it finds its strength. It becomes a force of nature. Your struggles, your pain, your healing process, these are sacred things. To turn them into public content is to profane them. The deepest transformations happen in the dark, when no one is watching. They happen in the quiet moments when you choose to get up, to keep going, to do the work, not for the applause, but because the work itself is who you are becoming. The third and most subtle pillar is the lie that you are your own best judge. This sounds like a Stoic idea, but it is a modern corruption of it. You are told to trust yourself, to follow your intuition, which often becomes an excuse to do whatever feels easiest and to avoid hard feedback. You become the sole judge of your own work, and you are a very lenient judge. You grade yourself on effort, on good intentions, on how hard you tried. The world, however, is a ruthless and impartial judge. It does not grade you on effort. It grades you on results. You can tell yourself you are a great writer all day long, but if no one can understand your sentences, you have failed. You can believe you are a kind person, but if you constantly hurt those around you, you have failed. The Stoics were not interested in self-esteem. They were interested in self-examination, which is a very different thing. They did not just trust themselves. They relentlessly questioned themselves. They held their own thoughts and actions up to the highest possible standard, the standard of reason, of virtue, of reality itself. They practiced a form of radical honesty, especially about their own flaws. These reasonings are unconnected. I am richer than you, therefore I am better. I am more eloquent than you, therefore I am better. The connection is rather this: I am richer than you, therefore my property is greater than yours. I am more eloquent than you, therefore my style is better than yours. But you, after all, are neither property nor style. Epictetus. This is the key. To build in silence, you must have an objective standard. The standard is not what others think of you. That is the trap we are escaping. But the standard is also not just what you feel about yourself. That is the trap of self-delusion. The true standard is a commitment to objective reality and virtuous action. Are you producing real, tangible results? Are you acting in accordance with the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance? This is the inner scorecard. It is not based on applause from the outside, nor on comforting lies from the inside. It is based on the cold, hard, and ultimately liberating truth of your own actions. Now we arrive at the great liberating secret, the reframing that will allow you to build a life of profound substance. You have been living under the tyranny of the audience. You believe that the opposite of being seen is being invisible, and you fear invisibility. This is the false choice that has paralyzed you. The opposite of being seen is not being invisible. The opposite of being seen is being unconcerned with being seen. This is not a word game. It is a fundamental shift in the source of your identity. Invisibility is a state of powerlessness. It is the feeling of being overlooked, of not mattering. Being unconcerned with being seen is a state of ultimate power. It is the quiet confidence of a master craftsman who is so absorbed in his work, so committed to his own standard of excellence, that the presence or absence of an audience is completely irrelevant. His validation comes from the work itself. Now we move from deconstruction to construction, from the stage to the forge. 3 practical Stoic rituals to break your addiction to the audience and to begin the sacred, unseen work of building your own soul. The first ritual, the secret project. You will choose one skill, one project, one area of your life you wish to improve, and you will work on it in secret for the next 90 days. You will not post about it. You will not talk about it. You will not seek advice on it, unless absolutely necessary. You will simply do the work. If you are learning an instrument, you will practice every day in private. If you are getting in shape, you will do the workouts, and you will not post a single progress picture. This project is a sacred secret between you and yourself. This ritual will do 2 things. It will teach you to find joy and satisfaction in the process itself, not in the praise it might generate. And it will build a private core of self-respect based on the promises you keep to yourself when no one is watching. The second ritual, the audit of motive. For the next week, before you post anything online or share a piece of personal news in a conversation, you will perform a ruthless audit of your motive. You will pause, and you will ask yourself with brutal honesty, am I sharing this to provide genuine value or connection? Or am I sharing this as a subtle request for validation, sympathy, or praise? If the answer is, even in part, the latter, you will not share it. You will keep that piece of information for yourself. This practice is a filter. It will dramatically reduce the amount of noise you produce, and it will begin to train your mind to stop seeing your life as a series of moments to be monetized for social approval. The third ritual, the master's eye. You must find an objective, non-emotional standard by which to judge your own work. This standard is what we will call the master's eye. It is not a person. It is a principle. If you are a writer, your master's eye might be clarity and impact. After you write something, you will not ask, "Will people like this?" You will ask, "Is this clear? Does it have impact?" If you are a leader, your master's eye might be justice and courage. After making a decision, you will not ask, "Was that popular?" You will ask, "Was that just? Was that courageous?" This ritual detaches your self-worth from the fickle opinions of the crowd and reattaches it to the timeless, unshakable principles that you yourself have chosen. You are no longer judged by the audience. You are judged by the code. You are not an actor, desperate for applause. You are a craftsman. You are a builder. You are an architect. The noisy, distracting, and ultimately empty validation of the crowd was the cage. The quiet, focused, and profoundly satisfying integrity of the work itself is freedom. Let them chase the likes. Let them perform their struggles. Let them build their lives out of the cheap material of public opinion. You are engaged in a different kind of work. You are building with stone. You are building in silence. You are building something that will last, something that does not need to be seen to be real. And in that quiet, unseen work, you will find a satisfaction so deep and so real that the applause of the world will sound like nothing more than the distant, irrelevant chirping of birds. The stage is now empty. The forge is lit. If you are ready to begin the real work, the unseen work, then subscribe to the Stoic Citadel. This is not a place for performers. It is a workshop for craftsmen of the soul. Finally, go to the comments and declare your new identity. Write, "I am the craftsman." Your training continues. You have learned the power of building in silence. Now you must learn to protect the silence you have built. Your next briefing is on the screen now. Click it to learn how to defend your newfound focus.